Don't get me wrong.
Important part, or an interesting part of how people have talked about your role here is how your role has reshaped the perception of masculinity. And I'm not sure you planned on that, but you are an incredibly supportive spouse. Has that been an evolution for you? And do you think that's part of the role you might play as first gentleman?
It's funny, I've started to think a lot about this. I've always been like this. My dad was like this. And to me,
as a person with one working eye,
let us investigate.
Kamala Harris' husband Doug Emhoff cheated on his first wife with daughters Ella's nanny Najee Naylor and got her pregnant. I mean, you're changing masculinity, all right.
I've always been like this. My dad was like this.
Did you copy that from him? Or was he always a very good father and you made the mistake, but you're going to use his legacy like you're the perfect father again?
Let's talk about masculinity for a moment. Has being second gentleman changed your own view of perceived gender roles or what it means to be a man?
This is something I've thought about a lot and something I've spoken about a lot. There's too much of toxicity, masculine toxicity out there, and we've kind of confused what it means to be a man, what it means to be masculine, where you've got this trope out there that you've got to be tough and, angry and lash out to be strong. It's just the opposite.
Since when a man screams, that means it's masculinity? That's just stupid people. And whenever you don't like something, why the heck do you keep calling it masculinity?
Strength is how you show your love for people. Strength is how you are for people and how you have their back and how you stick up for other people and pushing out against bullies.
Sir, with all due respect, you pushed in and pushed out of a person and you made a freaking baby. How the heck are you the best example?
And that's what I believe it is. So every time I can speak against this toxicity, we're seeing it with our younger people, we're seeing it in our discourse, in our politics, in the media, you're seeing it as it relates to so many of the issues that we're pushing back on. So I think it's a problem, and I'm going to continue to use this platform every time I get to speak out against this toxic masculinity that's out there.
I think masculinity is all about controlling your inner beast, not judging the people that express it in a gangster way. Because you didn't express it in a gangster way. You just used it in a gangster way when somebody was taking care of your daughter. Which actually means you're opportunistic. Right? Just like a vice president.
The Health Department has temporarily shut down Canna Coffee in Adams Morgan. And this is the same restaurant at the center of a viral TikTok video capturing the owner's racist rant against an Uber Eats driver for speaking Spanish. 7 News' Christian Flores is joining me in studio now. Christian, is this closure because of that viral video?
It is not, Megan. We were told the health department's investigation started long before this video, but this is the latest development in what has been a troubling few months for the restaurant. As customers flock in and out of various Adams Morgan businesses, one restaurant remained empty Thursday. The D.C. Department of Licensing and Consumer Protection and the D.C. Department of Health have temporarily shut down Canna Coffee, providing a statement saying, as a part of a multi-agency enforcement effort, D.C. government has been investigating Canna Coffee and has ordered that the business cease operations. We continue to work with law enforcement and community partners to protect the health and safety of all D.C. residents.
Shut them down! Shut them down!
This development comes less than 2 months after we interviewed Canna Coffee owner Greg Harris, who called for a Southeast liquor store to be closed for good after a triple shooting.
Being able to go and shop and get the things that you need without ensuring that you're going to be put in harm's way.
Now, it is D.C. agencies saying Harris's restaurant that's in violation. Officials issued 2 notices of infraction, once in May and again in August, both before Harris found himself in the spotlight earlier this week.
In America, you need to learn it. Learn English. Learn it. You get money in America. This isn't you getting money in America. Learn English. I don't give a fuck. Learn it. Learn it. You riding on the roads. Learn English. Motherfucker. Fuck about that shit. Learn English. Learn English. Learn English. Learn English. This ain't your fucking country. This ain't your fucking country. Learn English. Learn English. This ain't your fucking country. Fuck wrong with you? Fuck wrong with you, boy? You better learn English.
entiendo, entiendo ni más lo que me está diciendo. De la tienda. De la tienda. You better.
I mean, he could have spoken in a different way to the guy. I would agree with that, but at the same time, I find it rather interesting that most people seem to not understand why it's irritating when you try to maintain your business, but whoever is coming there to help you do the business doesn't even speak your language properly. So if there's a miscommunication, I need to find a translator? Isn't that frustrating? Why would you disrespect the people that give you the possibility to live better than your own country? At least learn the language.
This video now has more than 18 million views on TikTok. MPD is now investigating this as a possible hate crime, though no arrests have been made.
It was my first time going to pick up an order at that restaurant. I felt, wow, terrible, humiliated, upset. I felt awful because I came to this country simply to work. I didn't come here to hurt anybody.
News has learned both Uber and DoorDash have removed Canna Coffee from their apps. So far, the business has not sent out any statement regarding a closure or viral video. Certainly tumultuous times ahead for this restaurant.
I think that's the problem. When you say, I'm only here to make money, you don't care about the freaking language. You are adapting the stuff and you're telling people, if you rage and if you're frustrated, we're going to investigate you for hate crime? So I think this is going to happen. They have catered to the LGBTQ on a specific month. Now for the rest of the year, they're going to cater to people that don't speak English. So good luck with your business, and maybe an investment in speaking Spanish actually might help you survive. But ladies and gentlemen, as suggested by my subscriber, remember to like, share and comment. Hey, that actually helps me a lot with the algorithm and I really appreciate it.
In the Netherlands, do you not need immigrants coming in to fill the jobs, to look after then the aging population?
So the idea that you can solve the issue of an aging population by bringing in immigrants who, in our case, oftentimes do not work at all and in fact put a lot of pressure on the welfare state is, of course, it doesn't make any sense. If the idea is, well, we need more people to work so we can care for our elderly, then you would have to bring in people who actually add to the treasury, who add to the welfare state, and instead it's an immense source of pressure on our welfare state. And especially at the rate of immigration that we are seeing, I wouldn't even call it immigration anymore. I think we are nearing what is replacement. You are replacing a population, and I would like my nation state to persist and to continue to exist, and that won't happen this way.
I mean, in all honesty, the problem isn't that I'm going to help people, but I want at least the people that I'm helping is doing something to help me so I can keep helping them.
The British, there was a king from my tribe, the Yoruba tribe, King Kosoko. He didn't want to release the slaves. The British, they would send the military into what we call modern day Lagos to release the slaves.
Oh,
today, black people are enslaved in the Middle East under the ideology of Islam.
Yes!
The British people don't understand what is going on, and this country is going to be seized from the British people if they don't wake up, if your eyes are not open to what is happening. This country was founded on Christian values, on Judeo-Christian values, on loving your neighbor, on equality, on giving women freedom. And if this country falls into secular humanism, sorry to say, and I have secular humanist friends, if this country falls into Islam, this country will be much uglier than it is today. We need Christians to occupy positions in politics.
And this started with a tweet. I love it when young people actually know their history. Well said, sir. This country is going to be seized from the British people unless we wake up. Yeah, gangster, right? But somebody had something other to say. Deport him.
Shut it down!
Agree. We do not need black people speaking for white people in white nations. The magical Negro is a weapon like no other. Hey man, I don't mind this freedom of speech because now I know who is an idiot and I don't want to associate with them, but they have the right to say it so I know how bad they are. Just like a person that says they understand toxic masculinity after they funky their nanny.
I've always been like this. My dad was like this.
I think fossil fuels are better for the environment than people realize because without them we would have cut all the trees down by now. I think they also save the whales because before we were using fossil fuels, we were using whale oil to make everything. And I think people who wanted to save the whales should be happy that we use fossil fuels.
Okay, interesting. So are you completely against what they're supporting, or do you think it's just not a realistic outcome?
Most of the climate change issue is about controlling our energy resources. Let's say they get off of fossil fuels and they put everybody on electricity, and we're all using electricity for everything. Well, all that has to be mined. Most of it's mined by slave labor in communist countries that are owned by dictators at very violent places, and I don't see why that's a better energy resource than fossil fuels. They make people money who take it out of the ground rather than being forced out of the ground, and there's a lot less exploitation involved in it. The scientists who say climate change is real only get grant money if they say climate change is real. A lot of the scientists who disagree with climate change, all their budgets are taken away and they're blacklisted. There's a big movement to change our energy resources, like I said, and if you change our energy resources, you change who controls the power in the world.
I just find it very odd that the people that are celebrating electricity don't consider that they're supporting slavery. But if I remove their phone because it might be causing slavery, they would say, I'm treating them like slave. Because I traded their freedom and their human right with the freedom of the people they want to work.
But when she chooses to get an abortion, it's the baby that's getting harmed. I mean, it has its own heartbeat and brain waves.
Yeah, I just don't assign value to like a fetus before 20 to 24 weeks. So like if a mother's like, yeah, I want to get a fetus, I want to get an abortion at like 10 weeks, I have no problem with that.
Okay.
I don't know why we'd give value to that fetus.
Well, because you were once a fetus, so was I, everyone was. I mean, it will turn into something beautiful, it could.
So? Like, there's potential in everything, so when you have...
But when she chooses to get an abortion, it's the baby that's getting harmed. I mean, it has its own heartbeat and brain waves.
Yeah, I just don't assign value to like a fetus before 20 to 24 weeks. So like if a mother's like, yeah, I want to get a fetus, I want to get an abortion at like 10 weeks, I have no problem with that.
Okay.
I don't know why we'd give value to that fetus.
Well, because you were once a fetus, so was I, everyone was. I mean, it will turn into something beautiful, it could.
So? Like, there's potential in everything.
So by his standard, if you're a 6-month-old baby, you have no value in the belly, even if you can survive. And I also think there's a high possibility that he wants more electric cars while being angry at the African government on how they treat the African people in those mines to get the batteries for those cars.
Guys, we're leaving the UK. Food for thought, guys. Don't you think it's interesting how our parents and grandparents moved from their home countries to a foreign country to build a life for their children? But now in this generation, we are so eager and so desperate to move to another country to help secure a better life for our children. Don't you think that's interesting?
That is very interesting. I mean, the amount of people on just friends and family, social media that I see, for many reasons, are leaving the UK just to move their family for a better life. So, my question is, where are we going? So, Hannah, we can go Bangladesh, Pakistan, Middle East. Everyone loves going to Dubai.
I think Middle East is definitely attracting a lot of Muslims to go there, don't you think, from the UK?
Yeah, Malaysia.
Singapore. Let me know, guys, has anyone had this similar thinking before, or is it just me?
I like to do commentary that isn't disrespectful, but what they just did was very disrespectful. We don't like your country anymore because it changed so much.
Don't get me wrong, ma cosa kita bong. Put the fire na mi blonde, kush hash, purple skunk, criollo, colombici, jam, jam, turloqueta, verdetta, welcome.